What's up everyone? So today we are working on our CT70. We've owned it for about 5 years now. We were cruising down to neighbors one night and it just cut off on us. We've had issues with this thing before. With the carburetor, when we got it, cleaned it all out. It was a bunch of old fuel, it was gummed up, and it ran good after that. Every once in a while, it was not happy if you give it full throttle, so it seemed like it was leaning out still, but it was still good for like cruising down to neighbors and all that. But we really want to get this thing dialed in. So first things first, we want to see what our issue is as far as, is it spark? Because these are known to have the old ignition system in it and they'll fail on you, and you want to kind of upgrade it to your newer style. Good things about these motors, that they are great runners. Honda did a good job on these. I got our example over here. This one's an 81, and this over here is our XR70, which is a 2000 or 2001, but this motor here has been upgraded with big bore kit, blah blah blah, all the goodies. And so we'll see what happens here. We really like to get this thing. We like to keep it original. We'll keep stock exhaust no matter what we do to this thing. So first things first, you want to pull your spark plug out, and we got it laying against. Our spark plug definitely looks old. It's actually got a little cracks here a little bit, so she's definitely seen better days, so she will get a new spark plug regardless. But we're just going to kick it over by hand here, which should be fairly easy since you have nothing you know, to build compression because you got the hole open. So we're going to kick it over, and that's really good spark. So spark is not a problem. So our next thing, since we're already here, we could either test compression, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray a little carb cleaner inside that hole, put our spark plug back in, give it a kick. If she tries to fire up, then that's going to tell us that we're having a fuel issue. So at that point, we're going to pull our fuel lines off, drain everything out, because it is an old tank. Even though we put fresh fuel in it, chances are there could still be some debris since we don't have no fuel filter. And if our fuel looks crummy or doesn't look great, we'll probably go to our local shop, pick up a couple of mini fuel filters, clean the carb out. Hopefully that solves our issue. If it doesn't, this is probably the original carb on this thing. And the old CT70s were a dual line, and this is kind of how it's mounted here and all that. What we could do is delete one of these fuel lines, and we do have a carb from our newer 70, and we could use that. We just have to do something with our peacock here, whether just eliminate it and just always have fuel going to it, or put like a little mini shutoff valve. That's probably what we do, and just have one line. So we don't really need a reserve. Just going back and forth to the neighbors, not a big deal. So we got a couple options, but I would like to just keep everything original as much as we can and see if we just clean this thing out and get it running again. So it's not doing anything crazy. It's just a great little, ripper to get down to the neighbors and putz around. So let's see if it's a fuel issue. We're gonna spray a little carb and see if she fires up a little bit. We're just using a good old Super Tech, from your Walmart carb injection cleaner or whatever. Pretty much your carb, mass airflow, anything that's pretty flammable. Starting fluid's really good. So we're going to spray a little on the plug. Let me clean it up a little bit. Really give her the business. And then you want to try to get that screwed on as quick as you can before the fuel has time to evaporate. We'll get this thing on here. Like I said, a spark plug will get replaced. I think I got a couple extras. Kind of looks like the same numbers that run on our Cowie, to be honest. So snug her up, put her on, and she should at least do like a little puff or something. But she's probably pretty dry. She's been sitting actually for probably a couple of years now. Ooh. There we go. So that's our sign right there. That is not a compression issue. Only took a couple kicks. She fired up, and she wanted to run. So it's definitely a fuel issue. So at this point, I know we have fuel in here because I know I double checked it multiple times. I ain't that green. Alright, well, we did get it fired up. I got worried for a second. The fuel tank was empty, but it's because it evaporated. It's been sitting for so long. I mean, it's leaking fuel, so we gotta... I just want to show you guys we got it running. But we gotta fix that fuel leak, and it's cutting out a lot. It's not happy. It looks like it's pouring out of the overflow too, so that probably means that our float, because it's sat, you know, your float's naturally gonna sit down when the bowl drains down. So it probably got hung up at there, so that's one issue. The other part is probably maybe one of our jets got clogged. Whatever. It only takes a little bit. And this being so old, I guarantee there's probably debris in that fuel tank. So, much as I'd like to just like clean it all out, put it back together tonight, which there's still a possibility. Ooh. I definitely should put a fuel filter in there. So maybe I got one laying around. I don't think I do. But I know B&E's got one, which they open on Tuesday. And that's exactly what put dual filters right in there. And you can see it's because I still have, yeah. So there's your reasoning right there. It's just the float's stuck. So we gotta let all that drain out. We don't want to lose too much. We poured 110 in there, and we had a little premix. So she's smelling good in here. But yeah, let's clean that carb tuner, and hopefully that does the job for us. We'll see what the fuel looks like. Alright guys, so we got the carb off, and just to show you guys real quick, what you're going to want to do is you're going to pull both these fuel lines off. Be careful, because even when you pull these off, the other one's going to feed fuel to the peacock that these go in, or a petcock, whatever you want to call it, and yeah, so you're going to want to catch that fuel. You're going to pull the top of your carb off here, and you're just going to have 2 bolts, which are 10 mil for us, and I know I say in my other videos, if you watched them, you know, the easiest thing that we found is using a good old bottle here. You know, if you got one like this laying around, to fill up your fuel. It's dark like that because we have 110 and some premix in there. And another nice thing about using this is that we can see if there's any debris. And it actually looks really clean, so I'm not even going to sweat the fuel filter thing. If you don't have bottles like that, your harder plastics like Gatorade, even like a 2-liter or anything like that, will just, you know, hold your fuel and it won't like melt through or anything like that. Just make sure it's clean if you plan on reusing the fuel, which we do, so we made sure these were clean. Next thing is to take these screws off here, pop that off the bowl, and we're going to see what our float's doing and all that. Sometimes you just might not be able to see it, so the best thing is have a nice full can of carb cleaner, and you're going to really spray everything out. Make sure you pull your jets off. You got to hold them up to a bright light, just to kind of make sure, you know, as far as you can see the light through them, that's clear. Your main jet mostly will be fine, usually, I guess. Your pilot has a lot more mini holes. They can tend to get clogged and all that. What I tend to do is you could use wire, like electrical wire. You just pull a strand and you use it to kind of clean. Or you could use, if you have a brush, a wire brush, just use one of the wires on there just to scrub the jets clean. And then you're going to want to hit all your passageways, which is carb's pretty simple. We should see your passageway will be on this side, so we got to take our air filter off. So we're going to get at this, and hopefully, you know, we can get this thing cleaned out and put it back together, and hopefully she runs a little bit longer for us. So we'll see what happens. Alright guys, so we got the carb all apart. We ended up cleaning it. These are your jets here. That's going to be your main. Oop. That's going to be your pilot. We used, like I said, our carb cleaner here, and then we used our air compressor to blow some of the passages out. We squirted through these 2 here, and then when these were off, we pulled our jets, like I said, cleaned those out. Just used a little wire here, and the other big, and you can see how much buildup's in here, but, and you can like see the rust. So it definitely was dirty, and there was definitely a possibility of some floaters. So all we can do is put it back together, see what happens. The other thing too is when you are cleaning those passages out, make sure you're not looking directly at the carb, just because when you blow it into one side, it's going to come out the other, and you don't want to squirt yourself an eye with it. That would be not great. Done it once in my life, and that's all I want to ever do. So just make sure you're careful. Good thing I always do is like stick it in my garbage can when I'm doing it, so that way it's all contained in there. It's not a big deal. Everything else seems to be flowing good. We're going to put an extra clamp on our fuel hose. Found out why it was leaking in the first place. Our clamp was actually loose. Chances are our fuel did not evaporate. It was probably because we pulled the line and drained the old fuel out a long time ago, and we just stopped there. So get it all back together, get our fuel back in there, see if this thing fires up. Alright, so fired right up, got the carb back on, poured our fuel back in, and we didn't even tune it yet. Our only issue is that we are getting a little dribble of gas still through here. It could actually be through that peacock. Seals dry out. It's not dripping as bad as it was. I don't know, it's probably about the same. So it actually might not be the hose leaking. But, I don't know, we'll see. She's running good though. We're going to take her for a little quick test ride. We'll be back and see if she actually is running all there. Alright guys, had a major scare when we were out there. Yeah, we're still dripping fuel, so ran great. Probably on the rich side. We changed jets a while ago, but we're on full throttle. Went to shift, backfired a little bit. It looked like it backfired a little bit out of the air filter. I don't know exactly what happened, but I seen a spark by the carb, and we have a fuel leak there, and that could have been bad. So, thankfully, she's still there. She's running great. And still in gear. Okay. Now she's in neutral. That's good. So we just gotta fix this fuel leak, which very common. So what usually happens is that, especially when there's not any fuel, there's nothing to keep those gaskets wet. They dry out, and sometimes you get lucky. It doesn't necessarily fix the problem in a sense, but the fuel will re-wet the seal. Sometimes seal itself back up. Doesn't look like that's the case here, but regardless, that's a separate issue. Nothing for air leak. Nothing for you guys to have to worry about. But for us, probably gonna take that hose clamp off again. Maybe we have a small split in that hose on one of them. We'll try trimming them up a little bit. If not, we'll just replace the fuel line. I've never replaced a fuel line, but it looks like it could be a pain in the butt, but we'll see. Other than that, got it running good. So just get that carb cleaned up. Hopefully it gets you back on the road too, and we'll see you later.